The total lunar eclipse exact in the sign of Pisces, where the North Node is transiting, is where the focus is to be placed upon. The sun and moon are conjunct, which is a new moon, in the sign of Aquarius. However, it being within the 10-degree orbit of the North Node makes it a total lunar eclipse. So I say exact because this is where the focus should be on, is where the North Node is, what sign, what temperament, and what should be explained. So with this Aquarius energy, the sun and moon that is conjunct is a new phase. And a total lunar eclipse, the energy lasts before and after to be brought into the moment to be realized. What is to be built upon. So this is an energy that culminates before the total lunar eclipse that can bring in influence, and then after the total lunar eclipse that is to be emphasized more. So the sign of Aquarius, Uranus rules the sign of Aquarius. That's the planetary celestial bodily energy, and it is in a balsamic phase that is stationed to go direct in the sign of Taurus. Its degradation, which has been its retrograde energy, has created this slow emphasis on what is to be realized. So the total lunar eclipse that is happening during its stationing to go direct, Uranus, this uranium chemical component, which is just an ingredient to add to this total lunar eclipse in order to culminate this ideology of a vision, Pisces. So we're going to discuss the sign of Cancer, which is cardinal water, and it is in its emphasis where it's expanding its energetic principles, because the planet Jupiter, which is all about expansion, luck, good fortune, and it can also blow things out of proportion, is in the sign of Cancer, retrograde. So it is reflecting, and Cancer is already a reflective type of energy. It's cardinal water. So it wants to initiate this ability to nurture and love and protect what makes it safe, which is basically a shell guard type of emphasis that wants structure and wants something solid and private to resort back to in order to heal its own self-preservation, in order to go back out and serve its nurturing quality, which it initiates its love because of the cardinal water quality. So the North Node has Venus and Mercury conjunct, and it's all taking place in the sign of Pisces. So with Mercury and Venus, that is making a trine over to Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, is showcasing that the mind needs to pay close attention to the lower octave desires and needs of the emotional body, because Venus is about creature comforts and wants to appreciate the finer things in life that feels very bountiful. However, it's putting the emphasis on the simplistic quality of life that can be more everlasting and more enjoyable. And with Mercury, it is basically summing up all of the information in order to implement some sort of strategic plan so that the aesthetic outlook can present itself to be more of a beautiful picture for the visualization process, Pisces. So if we take Mercury and Venus in the sign of Pisces on the North Node, it wants a beautiful plan to be executed. So there needs to be some sort of emphasis on structuring, which Saturn and Neptune has just entered a new phase in a new sign at 0 degrees Aries, cardinal fire, initiating action. So here, the mind can be action-oriented and have mental, not only clarity, Mercury, but energy, mental energy to exert its focus on creating a plan of action that can be applied, applicable in a way that can be harmonious, Venus and Mercury, in the sign of Pisces, that gives it a flow and a surf in order to be able to utilize the energy long term, because Uranus is a slow moving planet. It is stationed to go direct, so that this long term, slow moving energy can produce better results that are more achievable. Venus, lower octave of simplistic, bountiful, not only pleasures, but comforts in life that are the lower octave of Jupiter, that is retrograde in the sign of Cancer. So basically, Cancer is creating this recipe to nurture its surroundings, its life, its livelihood, in order to ride this wave, Pisces, to clear out a path, initiate, trailblaze Neptune and Saturn, to make the vision Neptune practical Saturn in regards to a philosophical outlook, Pisces. Because Jupiter is in retrograde and Pisces is the sign that associates with Jupiter, it is all about religion, philosophical points of view that manifest a belief system to abide by, so that there can be a tendency to have some sort of spiritual foundation to enchant and develop a worldly system that isn't mundane, but that has some sort of spiritual connotation to enchant and motivate and create. So going back to the sign of Aquarius, Pluto is 4 degrees north, south, east, and west, and is a slow moving planet. So the emphasis has to be focused on Pluto no matter what, because It is at the outer edge of the galaxy of the Milky Way, and it is basically the ruler of the chart because this is the underworld. However, I am the creator, and even though I am source, I am the divine. Pluto, the plutonic, transformative, destructive, purification process type of annotation that is needed for this content, is destroying what has been built, towering out, in order to restructure and recreate, and from the ashes build anew. So this is all about divide, separate, analyze, in order to combine and reform. And this all has to do with the mind, Mercury and Venus, the aesthetic quality of what is desired from oneself, what one finds appealing, what one's interests are that makes them feel good. Simplistically. So Pluto is going to be in Aquarius, which is the sign of humanity. And it is resurrecting the old in order to transform and transmutate this world's idea of recognizing its identity from a philosophical belief system that is outmoded, however, needs to be referenced because it is the building blocks in which this world has been built upon. So the other planetary celestial bodily energy, Mars, is transiting through the sign of Aquarius. So this is cardinal fire. It is transformative in a surgical manner. So it doesn't just nuclear transmute and transform things like the plutonic energy. It has the ability of precision, so that there is a focus here. And Mars, the ruler of Aries, cardinal fire, has Neptune and Saturn at 0 degrees. That is going to be a slower moving energy, and is initiating a philosophical belief system, visionary change. And it's focusing on the practicality so that it can execute a plan for this manifestation to bring into fruition a solidarity that can be achievable, because this Aries energy doesn't want to fail. So it has a vision to work with Neptune, which is the dissolving of what seemed to be practical in order to visualize and reform and make concrete Saturn something that can have a manageable structure that is considering civilization to have a reasonable law that can govern humanity, Aquarius. So there's going to be a lot of flexibility here. There's going to be a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration. There's going to be a lot of edits. There's going to be a lot of restructuring when it comes to the legal system, because Pisces is the energy of the visionary. And with the elements of fixed air, mutable water, cardinal fire, and cardinal water, what is to be realized and manifested here is a philosophical belief system that can apply all of the knowledge and content that has been combined thus far that resides in my conscience, to be able to resurrect and make practical a world that is pristine, that has accommodations, and that has laws that aren't fascist or hidden and cloaked behind a manipulative quality to control one's own ability to create abundance and manifest what one desires, so that there is no limiting type of shadow that creates a lot of blockages in regards to this blueprint that is being orchestrated from the mercurial energies of Mercury and the Venusian properties of the manifestation in the 3D paradigm. So the principle here is there cannot be a law system that is inhibiting one's own power. And the manipulation from the chaos needs to be consciously controlled so that there is no useless exertions of chaotic frequencies that don't serve as any purpose. And this is to be reflected in the Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Cancer. So the principle here is going to be a new outlook. There's going to be new structuring, because the law is actually lawlessness, and it's cloaked behind a chaotic, uncontrollable, purposeless frequencies that only create a dissolution of confusion and does not liberate. So with this total lunar eclipse, I can expect that on a collective level, because the collective is only a consensus formed from my conscious memory, things will be able to change because of the forward momentum. And this 24-hour repetitive cycle that occurs and occurs and occurs is going to create this momentum regardless. So all of this ebb and flow that has been a slow moving type of energetic confusion, disillusion that has seemed to be draining will be alleviated, and the momentum will go forward. So just to recap, the main focus and theme to this total lunar eclipse is going to be a momentous new outlook in regards to the laws becoming more liberating and not being as self-limiting. And that is the read for this total lunar eclipse that is exact in the sign of Pisces. However, the sun and moon are conjunct with the energetic quality of the sign of Aquarius. Blessed be.